Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and it's time for more spooky stories. No, for real. We're gonna cover some more spooky stories about dogs. This one is I'm gonna try to, I thought I had this figured out, and then like the angle kind of changes and makes things different. So, aha. Ha ha ha. We are going to talk about a topic suggestion from Bayou Raptor, okay? And in this, he wanted me to cover, could be a girl. I apologize if I mess up your gender. You know, with these YouTube handles, I can't tell. So, we're going to talk about humans needing to interact with their own species. Ooh, for real though. I think today's video from the LBC with Tom Swarbrick, I keep messing up his name, was a good example of that. A lot of these people, and they'll immediately go to like, oh, my dog saved my life. Well, no, and then if you ask them about it, they will admit that they mean they had anxiety, or they felt lonely, and it was some type of mental disorder that made them feel that way. Okay, so all that bullshit aside, I pulled up some great supporting articles for this. Been reading on it the past couple hours. I had a great conversation with Tarcisia. Thank you. Great conversation. Definitely made me feel better about the world. Every time I have a new conversation with one of you guys, definitely lifts my spirits and makes me feel better about the world I'm living in. It restores my faith in humanity, if you will. So let's hop into the topics, okay? I'm pulling up some emails here. Alrighty, so let's get into this. I've got a few supporting articles, some specifically about social interaction and how important it is for humans to interact with other humans. And then I have an article from someone talking about people's need for dogs. Definitely a supportive article. I did find some information on the pros and cons of dog ownership, okay? And in most of them, they did the same thing. When they would go to list off the problems with owning dogs, it would be that they're dirty, that they have parasites, the zoonotic diseases. And one of them did mention that they can't really prove, and they were the one people who did a broad study on it, that they can't really prove that having a dog around is actually beneficial nor damaging. I found that interesting because most places, it's, oh, here are all the reasons that having a companion dog or a support dog will help you. So, let's hop into it. This is from the New York Times. Social interaction is critical for mental and physical health. Okay? This was from 2017. So they say, hooray for the Hot Black Coffee Cafe in Toronto, for declining to offer Wi-Fi to its customers. There are other such cafes, including 7 of the 8 New York City locations of Cafe Grumpy. But it's the reason for the electronic blackout, this cause for a celebration. As its president explains, his aim is to get customers to talk with one another instead of being buried in their portable devices. Okay, it's about creating social vibe, they say. What a novel idea. Personally, I don't need research-based evidence to appreciate the value of making and maintaining social connections. I experience it daily during my morning walk with up to 3 women, then before and after my swim in the locker room of the YMCA, where the use of electronic devices isn't even allowed. Okay, locker room experience has been surprisingly rewarding. I've made many new friends with whom I can share both joys and sorrow. The women help me solve problems, big and small, providing a sounding board, advice, and counsel, and often a hearty laugh that brightens my day. Take it from me, guys. I'm very social. I make friends quickly. I'm easy to talk to. And I had every reason throughout my life, due to abuse and trauma, throughout childhood, young adulthood, up until recently, to shut down and say, you know what, humans are bad and I don't want to socialize with them anymore. That's not how this works. You don't take your bad experiences with a couple people and base them on the population as a whole. You don't go and get a fluffy because you're having trouble with men or making friends with women or your family. I don't even have family, okay? And I have found ways to cope and to still be a decent human being. As a myriad of studies have shown, they may also be helping save my life, these social interactions. Harvard's Women Health Watch reported dozens of studies have shown that people who have satisfying relationships with family, friends, and their community are happier, have fewer health problems, and live longer. In a study of 7,000 men and women in Alameda, California, begun in 1965, they found that people who were disconnected from others were roughly 3 times more likely to die during the 9-year study than people with strong social ties. So, this major difference in survival occurred regardless of people's age, gender, health practices, or physical health status. In fact, the researchers found that those with close social ties and unhealthy lifestyles, such as smoking, obesity, or lack of exercise, actually lived longer than those with poor social ties, but more healthy living habits. You catch that? They're saying even people that had unhealthy habits, but had poor social skills, or even people that had unhealthy habits with good social skills lived longer than people with the unhealthy habits, okay? Needless to say, people with both healthy lifestyles and close social ties lived the longest of all. In another study published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 1984, researchers at the Health Insurance Plan of Greater New York found that among 2,320 men who had survived a heart attack, those with strong connections with other people had only a quarter of the risk of death within the following 3 years of those who lacked social connectedness. Okay? Researchers at Duke University Medical Center also found that social ties can reduce deaths among people with serious medical conditions. Beverly Brummett and colleagues reported in 2001 that among adults with coronary artery disease, the mortality rate was 2.4 times higher among those who were socially isolated. In column 1 in 2013, they wrote about shaking off loneliness and cited a review of research published in 1988 indicating that social isolation is on par with high blood pressure, obesity, lack of exercise, or smoking as a risk factor for early death and illness. People who are chronically lacking in social contacts are more likely to experience elevated stress level and inflammation. These in turn undermine the well-being of nearly every bodily system, including the brain. Absent social interactions, blood flow to vital organs is likely to be reduced and immune function may be undermined. Even how genes are expressed can be adversely affect, impairing the body's ability to turn off inflammation. Chronic inflammation has been linked to heart disease, arthritis, type 2 diabetes, and even suicide attempts. I was going to point that out, so I was glad that it came up in one of these articles. In 2010, the Journal of Health and Social Behavior, sociology researchers at University of Texas at Austin cited consistent and compelling evidence linking a low quantity or quality of social ties with a host of conditions, including the development and worsening of cardiovascular disease, repeat heart attacks, autoimmune disorders, high blood pressure, cancer, and slowed wound healing. Dudes, I have an autoimmune disorder, okay? I have great wound healing. I have really good social skills, and I stay in touch with my humans, okay? They pointed out that social interactions can enhance good health through a positive influence on people's living habits. For example, if none of your friends smoke, you'll be less likely to smoke, obviously. So if you have a balanced diet, avoid smoking or excessive weight gain, abuse of alcohol and drugs, explains that about 40% of premature mortality, as well as substantial morbidity and disability in the United States. Lack of social interactions also damages mental health. The emotional support provided by social connections helps to reduce the damaging effects of stress and can foster a sense of meaning and purpose in life. All right? So, in other words, social connectedness generates a positive feedback loop of social, emotional, and physical well-being. She suggests a societal decline in social connectedness may help explain the recent increase in reports of loneliness, isolation, and alienation, and may be why loneliness has become a leading reason people seek psychological counseling. Okay? More than 25% of Americans have no one to confide in. They lack a close friend of whom they feel comfortable sharing personal problems. For those seeking health-promoting lifestyles, It's not enough to just focus on eating veggies and getting regular exercise. Don't forget to connect. Not a bad article, right? So let's hop into this. We've got the PTSD Journal. Not all wounds are visible. 11 negative side effects of lack of socializing. Socializing is important for the mind and body, and lack of it can negatively impact mental and physical health. Everyone needs some time alone occasionally, and some people are naturally more introverted and shy. There's nothing wrong with that, but too much isolation is harmful. Social connections are important to happiness, health, and overall feelings of connectivity. Lack of these connections can lead to isolation, decreased self-esteem, and a shorter lifespan. And guys, in our community and with our outlooks, this can become a huge problem. So it's important for us to reach out to one another and talk and be close, build connectedness. Negative side effects of loneliness can start to set in with just over 1 day of not socializing. Below are 11 ways that lack of socialization hurts your mind and body. Poor self-esteem. Studies on mice and other animals suggest a psychological bodily response to isolation. She doesn't want to give too much weight to this finding until the human studies are published, but she has seen through her work with clients, people who are continuously isolated day in and day out develop poor body image and self-esteem over time. Depression, isolation, and lack of socialization are commonly linked to depression, especially for people who don't socialize for more than a day at a time. So, I mean, you're saying like 1 day. Just imagine that's how these people become so warped. They live in their homes with their dogs and don't do anything but spend time with the dogs. And then they come out of the wash going, well, humans are bad, and I would leave a child behind. I would leave your child behind for my dog, and all this wild stuff they say. You should be able to make an effort to go to a fitness class, call a friend, or talk to your colleagues throughout the day. Loss of reality. Here's a big one they suffer. Loss of reality is common for people who commonly binge watch shows or movies or play video games. Or have dogs. The end of these alternate realities can trigger depression and make a person feel like they've suffered a loss. One should limit how often they immerse themselves into media to maintain a strong grasp of personal reality. I would like to just slip dogs into that statement if nobody else minds. Increased tumor risk, okay, can actually cause antisocial. Not being social can increase tumor risk and abnormal growth. Social alienation can deplete physical health and lead to cancer. Body chills. Another negative physiological response to isolation is body chills. All right? Decreased ability to learn. Lack of socialization can cause our brains to rewire and affect our ability to successfully engage in activities like puzzles and mind games. Decreased sense of empathy. This is another big one for the dog people. Alienation's rewiring of the brain doesn't just decrease a person's ability to learn. It also decreases a person's ability to empathize with others, like your own fellow humans. By not interacting with people, one may have a harder time processing feelings and love. Inflammation, as they talked about before, shorter lifespan, increased risk of dementia. Okay? Older women who had large social networks have 26% less risk of developing dementia and cognitive impairment. And reduced resilience. We can draw strength from the presence and support of others, like you guys. Healthy relationships lead to the development of resilience, coping skills, and higher self-esteem. In the absence of these crucial connections and the resulting benefits, it's much easier for isolation to form, which leads to loneliness. Okay? So, let's move on to the next article here. Alright guys, this is from Cal Alumni Association, and it's called, I Just Don't Get It. Why do so many people treat pets as human equals? Okay? I don't see a date for this one yet, but I'm going to skip this, a very large one, so I'm going to jump through it. This rumination begins with a phone call from my brother, but it's really about domestic animals, dogs and cats mostly, and our changing mores about them. How they are now viewed as peers and family members rather than a pet. how we've come to define ourselves as their guardians rather than their owners, whether our growing obsession with them is somehow connected with the complicated and messy human relationships that formerly dominated our lives, and whether apothecizing them somehow minimizes our sensitivity to human suffering. But back to my brother. I got a phone call from him a couple days ago. He is a person of a certain age who has had a colorful life. He served a stint in the Coast Guard, then 10 years as a cop, quit the force after determining he never liked nor respected his superiors. Then he became a master trucker, driving triple trailers on the I-80. He enrolled in college, back to education, obtained a teaching credential. He now teaches grammar school in Phoenix's poorest and toughest cities. He is a highly skilled machinist whose work has been included beautifully customized as in chopped Norton motorcycles. He's been married 4 times. He's all over the map politically. Though given to occasional scabrous, my bad, and amazing outbursts, he has a sense of humor that is Sahara-like in its dryness. If I had to describe him, I'd say he is an amalgam of Hank Hill and Dennis Hopper. He's a pretty tough guy. He's also my only sibling, and our connection is deep. So when I got the call and the usual jubilance was drained from his voice, I was anxious. He seemed to take a perverse delight in neglecting his health. His diet's horrible. He's overweight. He struggles with high blood pressure and a variety of other metabolic issues. Doesn't this go back to some of the other articles about... So I anticipated something dire, and then he said, I have bad news. I steeled myself. It's Moose, he said. We're going to have to put him down. Relief washed over me. Moose was his English Springer Spaniel. Actually started off as my Springer Spaniel, but I bought him as a pup thinking he'd be a good, smaller alternative to a Labrador as a retriever. He was in duck hunting parlance, extremely birdy, and I trained him casually, so he performed pretty well in the field, but like all well-bred Springers, Moose had a lot of energy. He needed rigorous daily exercise and a lot of emotional input. I bought him at a particularly busy point in my life, and I felt guilty I wasn't able to give him the attention he required and deserved. So my brother visited one day, and he and Moose practically soul-kissed out of mutual attraction. It occurred to me that I shouldn't stand in the way of building a relationship. My brother left in his pickup truck. Moose was there with him, okay? That was 8 years ago. Whenever I talk with my brother on the phone, the conversation inevitably revolves around Moose. How he was delighted in swimming laps all day in the pool. His guilty demeanor when he peed in the corner of the kitchen. The way his flews quivered adorably when he anticipated a snack. The $10,000 required to surgically repair an arthritic shoulder. I screamed, $10,000! I accused my brother of treating Moose like the son he'd never had. He didn't deny it, and his wife, he said, was just as bestowed with the dog. Moose was the sun, and they were the minor orbital bodies, basking in the benefit of the life-affirming doggy vibe. So, I commiserated with my brother as he mournfully described Moose's morbid condition. I pointed out that all flesh is grass. The spaniel flesh is even grassier. Okay? He had given Moose a lovely life. All of these cliches, right? Chokingly, my brother agreed, and then he said, by the way, he described tests he had just endured and pointed to a malignancy that could prove fatal. So, I said, that's the real story, right? I mean, putting Moose down is sad, but we're really talking about you and your medical tests. That's what you're worried about, because that's what worries me. No, he said, I can deal with whatever they find. I feel really bad about Moose. And I believe him. I believe he is far more distressed about euthanizing Moose than the possible imminence of his own demise. Further, he's no outlier. The animals as people meme is ascendant in our culture. Grief support sessions for deceased pets are widely available as AA meetings. People talk about their dogs as if they are family members. They die trying to save them from fierce surfs, speeding cars, or scalding hot springs. The cat lady stereotype is no longer reasonable, because almost everyone who has a cat, it seems, is a fierce feline partisan rather than someone who merely has a cat. Pet health insurance is now widely available, which isn't a bad idea, considering more and more people are opting for chemotherapy, open heart surgery, for their loss of so true. People increasingly view their companion animals as valued members of their family, because in many ways, I guess they are, says Kitty Jones, a spokesperson for Berkeley. Our dogs, cats, and other companions love us, and we love them. We share our homes, food, and our lives with them. Okay, and she goes on some more dog-loving crap. So in many ways, our pets are now, well, us. Not too many years ago, the vogue was deep ecology, the melding of human identity with the larger forces of nature. The problem now is that nature is no longer large. It is a series of disjointed remnants, and as people have shifted their focus from the smoldering ruins of the natural world to the crisp graphics shimmering on their various screens, the urge to conjoin is no longer so pressing, right? At the same time, our obsession with screens has made eye-to-eye contact with other human beings difficult, painful. How much easier is it to dote on our pets, which seem to love us unconditionally, but which promote no demands other than a bowl of food and a brisk daily constitutional? Further, they are our last link to the natural realm. They remain in a state of furry innocence, so they make us feel real in an increasingly virtual world. Instead of merging with nature, then we have forced the last vestiges of nature, our pets, to merge with us, despite their lack of functional. Pets are considered equals by increasing numbers of people. 2015 Gallup poll found that almost 1/3 of Americans felt animals should have the same rights as people. That was up 25% from 2008. Okay, so that's some more dog-loving rhetoric. In short, people don't want to just romp on the beach with their pets. They want somehow to take it to the next level, to engage their dogs and cats as equal, on a deeper emotional and spiritual, if not intellectual, plane. Not surprisingly, American universities, including California, of course, are at the point of the spear for this movement. Berkeley now allows support animals in campus dorms. There's a wide agreement among students that warm and fuzzy critters can be essential to coping with stress inherent in pursuing higher education. Numerous campus groups, including BOAA, are dedicated to animal care, animal activism. In short, anything and everything related to animals, and you know when they say animals, they mean dogs. From a practical standpoint, which usually devolves to dogs and cats. I really do consider my cat and dog a family member. Here comes a girl talking about all this, so we're going to just get past all that. Nope. A few hours ago, I received another phone call from my brother. He and his wife had just euthanized Moose. It's only the second time in my life that I'd heard a catch in his throat. First was a few years ago when he'd been at my father's deathbed. They draped a flag over his corpse, wheeled it down the corridors, the vets and active service members standing aside saluting the gurney as it passed. When they gave Moose the shot, my brother said, he totally relaxed and I realized how much pain he was in. Shortly after we spoke, his wife posted news of Moose's death on the Facebook page. Though her words were restrained, her grief was explicit between the lines, and she seemed inconsolable. I have owned many dogs and cats, and I have loved them in a measured way, in a way that was not at all comparable to the love I feel for family or friends. I can't feel for a pet the way my brother and his wife feel for theirs. What I do feel is a bit alienated, somewhat out of touch with the current norms. Somehow I can't think that it's wholly salutary to lavish the same love, attention, and resources as pets as, say, children. But I realize I'm not in the mainstream. If I were an animal other than a human being, I'd be a strange dinosaur plodding toward tar pits. Pets, for better or worse, now rule. He said it. So let's just have a little dialogue real quick before I stop the video. Human interaction is important, guys. Now, you can choose to isolate, and, as they mentioned in one of the articles, and I'll second the motion, it's okay if, you're shy or a bit introverted or this and that, but we need each other. I fear in the future, especially the way things are going, we're going to need each other more than we ever realized, and we've lost touch with that. And by the time it happens, it's going to be too late, okay? Now, this isn't to say that you have to force yourself to be social with people that are bad, that do things. If you've got a cousin whom does the crack, doesn't mean you have to go socialize with him. But there are other people out there, and people do want to socialize. This community is a good example. And there are lots of us that are looking out to talk to each other and connect and, like-mindedness, right? So don't hold yourself in. You're beautiful. Go out there and share that with people. Bayou Raptor? Yes, you. You asked me to make the video. I know you've been dealing with some isolation issues, and I understand. Especially if you're stuck around a whole bunch of people that make you feel some kind of way, or maybe they're a bunch of dog nuts, or this and that. But please find people to socialize with. Know that you can email me anytime you like. I would give you my phone number and chat with you on the phone. I talk to everybody. I'm like that. Human interaction is important, and I love my fellow man. I would do anything for my fellow humans. Okay? Put my life out on the line. I talk to Ban All Dogs. I talk to Cooking with Dog Meat. I did that interview with Canine Critic. I talked to Tarcisia today. I talked to what few members of my family I have, which is like one. I have lasting connections with people I've known forever. I talked to a friend of mine yesterday that I've known since we were both 13, 14 years old. So you guys, human interaction is so important. And look, in a world where we are more socially connected than ever, we've never been further apart. We just pay attention to our screens all day. I don't know how many people avoid a phone call when someone calls you because you're watching some show, you know, or that person said something you didn't like. Everybody is not always going to agree with you. Everybody grow the hell up, and you can't force people to feel and think the way you do. Matter of fact, the more forcing you do, the further you're pushing people away. Focus on the things that we have in common, okay? Rather than all the things we can fight about. Love each other. Be there for each other, okay? Especially in this community, where it's easy to become isolated and to be vilified and feel bad, to be told that you're a monster, that you're the bad guy. No, no, no. But make sure to exercise great tact and respect. Some of us don't do that. You know, I've talked to a couple of you on here that are like, I'm not that guy. I rant and I tell them, and I'll be telling a motherfucker, and people need to hear the truth. And you know what? It takes all of us to do that. So I'm not saying you're wrong. In fact, I get that way sometimes myself. But when I'm trying to spread a message and get out to people, I try to keep my cool and use rational responses and be loving. You'll see in a lot, and sometimes I'm just a dick because people are just a dick right off the rip, and so I'm an asshole right back, right? But you'll see me a lot in interactions with people where we disagree, and I just politely say, hey, you know what? That's okay. Maybe this isn't the place for you. I hope you have a good day. Take care of yourself. I support you, but, you know, I don't completely agree. You know, I'm really good at stuff like that. I'm great with people management. I've been told that over and over again throughout my life. I'm very good at socializing. I'm accepting. I'm a rational person, but I am also very passionate. That's what drives me to do things like this, right? Not a negative thing. We are all beautiful, unique, and special. For so many reasons. Whether you're tiny or fat, tall or short, black, white, gay, I don't care who you are or what you are. There are beautiful things about you that people want to embrace. So find yourself some communities, and remember, don't just be involved in dog hatred. Find other things that make you happy. Find things that bring you great joy. If you wear yourself out and you over-immerse yourself in any style of activism or whatever it is your goal is that you're passionate about, you will burn yourself out. That's I can make so many videos. I take great pride in what I do. Not to mention, so much shit happens, I can't not make videos. If it's a current topic, then I have to make a video about it. I want to get it out there so people know. And then I'm also trying to cover some older topic suggestions. So I'm thinking about doing a first live stream tomorrow, okay? But I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to wait and see what time IHD goes on. I don't want to tamper with that at all. And I'm going to kind of go from there. It'll give me a really good chance to catch up with a lot of these topic suggestions that I haven't had a chance to. You guys, we've got Beanie Girl here as a moderator. I trust her and care about her a lot. She is a great voice piece and eyes and ears for me. a sweet, wonderful person whom I am proud to say can talk to people and help express my views. Her and I are a lot alike, and I appreciate that. And now I have added Isabel. So you guys, a lot of you may already know her. I've been chit-chatting with her before I even started the channel. She would chit-chat with me on IHD's live streams. So a huge thank you to you, Isabel, okay? And these are two people that will be keeping an eye out for trolls. YouTube does a pretty good job of that. This will be more important, obviously, when we get larger and have more live streams, but I want some people there to help interact with you guys because I'm already starting to lose track of comments, right? And I don't want to spend my whole life just going through comments. I've got emails to read, phone calls to make, articles to go over, and then I have my own life, right? So speaking of which, before we get out of here, possibly live stream tomorrow. I try not to bring it up too often, but if you guys want to donate and buy me a coffee, that would be great. My business is starting out slow. I've been making tons of content, so if you guys want to help, by all means, it's super appreciated, excuse me. If not, it doesn't matter. I'm still here. I do this because it's important. So, but for those of you that got the deep-ass pockets, buy me a coffee. Come on, guys. But seriously, everyone have a wonderful night. Enjoy your Saturday. I am going to watch some non-dog related stuff, as to which I'm sure they'll insert some type of dog ad or there will be some dog in the fucking content. But I don't let that ruin my day. I just shake my head and go, ah, these silly humans. I mentioned to cooking with dog meat yesterday, and I want to share it with you guys before we go. I hope one day my son is pulling up these videos, you know, or some article or something, or cooking with dog meats videos, or IHD, and goes, look, this is my mom and her friends. They were fighting to protect us before anybody else. Everyone was just fighting with them and making them seem like they were bad. Can you believe that they just let dogs run around and kill children and then they blamed us? And his friends will be like, what? No, that's so crazy. And he'll be like, yeah, look, this is my mom and this is her friend and this is this person and they've been fighting this battle for a long time. And I sure hope that would be a nice thought. And I don't see it changing in my lifetime, but never know, right? So let's hope. And let's fight for our children. Protect our children. Fuck Fluffy, you guys. Love it. Come on, I'm coming in. Oh, you guys. Oh, here's a big hug for Bayou Raptor. Hold on. You guys, come on. Love each other. Be happy. Find joy in whatever you can. This world's going to hell in a handbasket, so you have to find joy in the smallest of things. Protect our humans. Protect our children. Get your steel toes, carry your tasers, use whatever you have to. Get a damn baton or a billy club, carry that wasp spray. I've heard from 2 different people that they're about to join the crusade as well. Hawkboy said he's going to start something under a different name. A couple people, Annabella has been giving me topic suggestions. She's going to start an actual, because a lot of people that follow me don't even have a YouTube. They just watch and then email me. That's beautiful. I'm glad we're reaching so many people. So, until the next video, I hope everyone has a great day. Much love, y'all.